Okay, welcome back. Now let's talk about exactly how long it takes to see results in SEO. And that's a very fair question because well, you don't know, but I know that it's nothing like PPC or pay per click or paid advertising. It's nothing like that. It's not like you set up a campaign and then as soon as you launch the campaign, you're immediately your ad is immediately being served at the top, right? That's not exactly how this works. SEO is a long-term marketing strategy for many reasons, mainly because of how Google works, not really because of how SEO works itself, but really it's just the time it takes for Google to crawl your website. They crawl your website, they scan your website, then based on what they've crawled, they then index you on their search results pages based on certain queries that somebody might type in or what they found your web pages to match in terms of keywords or queries placed here, right? So let's say you created a laser hair removal page in Jackson, Mississippi, right? Let's say you created that page just last week, you just published it. Maybe you've submitted your sitemap at this point and you've asked Google to index that particular page. What's going to happen is you're going to be put into the top 100 results, right? So if you're not already aware, on the first page here of Google, there are going to be 10 organic results on any given page, right? And those 10 results are multiplied across 10 more pages, right? So 10 times 10 is 100. And so you have 100 total results here on Google search results pages, but you only see the top 10 results here on the first page when you search, right? But what happens is once your site has been crawled, Google then determines where your website should be placed initially, right? So what may happen is you can publish that page for laser hair removal in Jackson, Mississippi, but you may be put here on the seventh page at the beginning of that, right? And so that's essentially your starting point, right? You can see here this website, they're on the back end of that keyword that I searched, and they may have just started the process of trying to improve their website to rank for the services that they offer here. Now, of course, there's things that they're going to need to do to increase that visibility, but that's essentially their starting point, right? Same for any other website. Where you start at really depends on how long you've had your domain name, or how long you've had your website. And that's because the newer you are, the less credible you are in Google's eyes. So they're usually going to start you off further in the back than they would if you've had a business website for the last 10 years. It's more likely that they'll place you maybe second or third to start, and then you'll start the process of gradually getting to that first page. So that's one factor, right? The age of your website. The other factor is the outright competitiveness of those services in that particular area. You could come across a really big provider for laser hair removal in Jackson who has locations all across the country, and they're able to rank for any area that they want to target in. And so it may take you a little bit longer to overcome those guys, simply because of the vast amount of competition, right? And there's ways that you can compete still in getting your little piece of the pie on search results, but competitiveness is a factor when it comes to how long it takes to see results in SEO. Okay, so we've already spoke about the age of your website, right? That's going to play a factor. If you have a newer website, it's just going to take a little bit longer for Google to recognize it as being reputable. Now, when I say a little bit longer, I do typically mean like a couple months or 3 to 6 months. I typically say, if you have an existing website, then it's more likely that you can see results easily within 3 to 6 months. However, I've been pretty consistent at getting results for my clients within the first 3 months, but that's never guaranteed, and I never promise that. That's just me speaking from experience. However, whenever I work with clients, I let them know that, hey, you need to be willing to stick in this with me for about 3 to 6 months. And the reason why is because the work that we do each month, as I mentioned in the prior section, it compounds an interest in the amount of services that I get you to rank for and how many areas that you're ranking for those services in. And the more I can do that, the more money I'm sure you'll make over the long term. However, that could depend on how aggressive you want to be up front. Not everyone could afford to be very aggressive out front where I'm publishing 10 to 20 pages per month. And, over the course of 3 to 6 months, they now have, hundreds of pages that are specifically made to make them more money and drive leads. So they have 100 pages and each page makes them $1,000 per month. Then, they have $100,000 SEO strategy that's helping them earn those leads. And so you want to think of it as the same way. If you're starting off a little bit lighter and you're making 1 or 2 pages per month, just know that it's going to take you a little bit longer to see those big results because you're not compounding your pages as fast as somebody else that's doing like 10 to 20 pages per month. Right. And I'm not saying you have to do 10 to 20 pages a month. I'm just saying that's kind of the scope of, how long it would take to see results. However, I've been known to work with small businesses where I'm creating, 2 to 3 pages per month for particular services in a particular area, and it starts making the money within 3 months. Um, and so, like again before, I said I want to keep it to 3 to 6 months. That's typically what I would quote anybody that's doing SEO, whether they're starting from the beginning or they're much more experienced in their business. But the typical rate of when you should start to see results is inside of 3 to 6 months. However, if you're working with me or if you're working with another consultant or agency, you should regularly be asking for updates or progress on these particular things. Like, for example, I'm going to use this website again as an example. If I come to you in month one and I say, hey, we're going to work on like landscape design page, mulch installation, sod installation, irrigation, winterization, driveways, all that stuff. We're going to start with those first 10 services, right? We're going to create those pages this month. We're gonna create those pages over the next 3 months. Let's say if we're creating 3 to 4 pages a month, we're gonna create those pages over 3 to 6 months. I mean, over 3 months. Um, Okay, so when we create those pages, we expect to make a certain amount of money from those pages once they start to rank on the first page, right? And that's really where the time comes in. The time doesn't really come in, not just the time comes in making the page and publishing it, but most of the time comes in from Google or waiting for Google to crawl the page, and once they crawl it, index it and get it over to the first page, right? And that's going to depend on different factors, like I mentioned before, the age of your website and also the competitiveness of the services in that area. But something else is going to be a big factor is just the overall quality of your website. The lower quality your website is in terms of its content, and in terms of its user friendliness, in terms of the experience that users are having, it could take you a lot longer if you're not doing the right things on your website that turns these website visitors into actual paying customers. So the better that you get at that, the quicker you'll see results, and that's pretty much what I've been perfecting over my entire career is how can I effectively help businesses generate leads through organic search, and that deals with not just ranking on search, but that also deals with how to convert users once they land on this page from search. Um, and so again, long story short, the simple answer of how long it takes to see results is 3 to 6 months. However, within those 3 to 6 months, you should see continual progressions towards your goals. And that means, your visibility should be increasing for particular services and particular areas, and you should see that consistently grow month after month. And then once you get to the point of being on the first page for a particular page or for a particular service, then you should start to see the income from those pages. And if you have the right tracking tools, which I help you set up, you'll be able to see exactly how much money SEO is helping you generate for your business. Okay, so that's how long it takes to see results. I'll see you in the next section talking about all things website.